Blog Talk Radio.
All K&S Society TALK live episodes may contain subject matter that may be to mature audiences, may be too mature for listeners under 21 years of age. If under 21 years of age, get your parents or guardian permission before listening. Also, views discussed on any K&S Society TALK live show does not reflect our personal opinions or opinions of our supporters. Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Welcome, everyone, to K&S Society TALK Live. I am your host, Don, and I'm joined by Michelle Yeager and Lucien Toombs. And
Good evening,
this week we're sorry for the absence of Brennan LeVake, but he had other obligations to take care of. So it'll just be us three on the show today. And how you doing today, Michelle and Lucien?
Doing fine, thanks.
I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Had a little ordeal the past couple of nights, but I'm doing a lot better. I'm sorry for that mix-up in the disclaimer before the intro kicked in. I got a little tongue-tied. I think you heard that. But anyway, today we have two special guests that's going to be joining us. For all you wrestling fans out there, we're going to be having the legendary wrestlers Big Bully Busick, Nick Busick, and you know him as Tugboat, Typhoon, and the Shockmaster, Fred Ottman, will be joining us. And they're two legendary wrestlers that had some great moments in the sport. And I'm looking forward to them as a special guest this evening. And Lucien, I know you're a wrestling fan. Michelle, you followed wrestling back in the day. What are your memories of these wrestlers?
We got free tickets. We went all the time.
Yeah, I actually had a very brief, by brief, I mean like 2-match career as a wrestling manager at one point.
And you guys, you remember back in the WWF days with Big Bully Busick with the bowler hat and the cigar? And now he goes back way before, both of them actually go back way before the WWF days. I mean, Bully Busick, he actually his first match was in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And that goes on May 12, 1978. And then he went into other acts of championship wrestling of North Georgia Wrestling Alliance, Keystone State Wrestling Alliance. Then he came into the WWF, and he was known as Big Bully Busick, managed by Harvey Whippleman. And Tugboat, Fred Ottman, He has a storied career as himself. He was in Florida Championship Wrestling. He went ahead and he was trained by Boris Malenko. He went on the World Wrestling Federation to become Tugboat, and he was Big Man Steel. I mean, he has many names, but I remember him being tag team partners with the late, great John Tenta Earthquake, and they won the championship belts, and he was known as Typhoon. And Earthquake was one of my favorite wrestlers. He still is in my top list of wrestlers. He was my all-time favorite. And Typhoon joined him, and I remember that infamous day with the Bushwhackers and against the Nasty Boys, and Earthquake and Typhoon got in and threw the Bushwhacker out, and there was your Natural Disasters formation, and the rest was history.
I actually remember that.
So looking forward to them two joining us. So now to get on with the news of this week. I know there's a lot of news circulating in the entertainment world. Lucian, what do you have for us in the entertainment news today?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if it's just something in the water out in California or what have you, but seems like we have another sex scandal of sorts popping up, although this is kind of one of those ones that makes you start to scratch your head. Mariah Carey's former bodyguard is making plans to file suit against her for sexual harassment. And this one's a bit of a head-scratcher, and he's a big burly guy, a former Marine, who claimed that she would routinely show up in front of him wearing the see-through negligees and such, and he just felt just so horribly put upon. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. And from the same cesspool, this whole Kevin Spacey thing just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. I saw on TV just this evening that this newscaster from the Boston area, she was in the process of filing suit because he groped her 18-year-old son at a bar about a year or two ago. So, it's as Robin Williams once said, God gave man a brain and a penis, but not enough blood to operate both at the same time. And apparently this is the case. So his career is apparently gone down the crapper, you might say. In lighter news, it was announced at the recent New York Comic-Con. Have you heard about the sequel to A Nightmare Before Christmas?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Well, it's not going to be a movie. The publisher Tokyo Pop, who specializes in a lot of Japanese comic books and so on, they're going to be releasing a special 20-issue limited edition series. It'll be sort of a graphic novel sequel to A Nightmare Before Christmas. It's going to be called Zero's Journey. And this will be where Jack Skellington's dog, Zero, makes his way to Christmas Town and what happens to him when he gets there and the misadventures that he has. And that's due in May of 2018. So if you're a comic book fan, you might want to keep an eye out for that. And speaking of Disney, Disney has been in talks on and off to buy 21st Century Fox. And they're doing this with an eye towards competing with Netflix. And what they're shooting for is they want to sort of absorb their TV and film production facilities and such, because since 21st Century Fox also has news, production capabilities, the government won't allow Disney, who currently owns ABC, to be able to get that sort of monopoly going. So they want to go after 21st Century Fox just for the movie and TV production aspects. And this is going to help them compete with Netflix, actually, because it'll give them more of a chance to live stream their stuff. Disney's already planning on doing, and it'll also, and for you comic book fans out there, it'll also give them access to Marvel properties that 21st Century Fox owns, like the X-Men, Wolverine, and Deadpool. So it's going to be interesting to see how Disney copes with a character like Deadpool. That should be interesting. And let's see. Oh, yeah. And speaking of various universes and such, an item from the Hollywood Reporter. You might recall earlier this year, Universal announced the creation of the Dark Universe, where they were going to go and have modern-day updates of all their classic horror films, The Mummy, Frankenstein, The Wolfman, and so on. Well, since The Mummy with Tom Cruise met with a resounding at the box office, Universal has announced that the whole Dark Universe slate of films they were planning to put into production has just been put on ice. I mean, they put the brakes on everything. Universal production chief Peter Kramer said, "We are viewing the titles as filmmaker-driven vehicles, each with their own vision. We will move forward with these films when we feel they are the best versions of themselves." So I think they're just going to stay and take forward, and hopefully they'll come to the realization that these are horror films, not action films. And I think that's where they made the mistake with The Mummy right there. I personally kind of miss the days, the shadows on the wall, the creaking doors, that kind of thing, like from the classic films. And instead, like in The Mummy, when the mummy attacks, it's this mini biblical apocalypse going on with a massive sandstorm and you name it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that finally turns out. And
I agree with you. Yeah, and in other news, the sexual harassment just topples everything in the entertainment world. I mean, everything I see today or read on the news is all about sexual harassment, from Robert Herjavec from the Shark Tank. His ex-girlfriend sues, complaining of repeat rape, and that whole scandal's going on. And then you have the whole thing going on with I guess it's Terry Crews is going after one of the agents from Hollywood about the sexual assaults. And I mean, it's terrible, from Portia de Rossi claiming Steven Seagal unzipped when she auditioned. Those were on the TMZ news sites. And one of the biggest news shockers that hit, well, actually, I don't want to, it's still speculation, but that's the whole Charlie Sheen, Corey Haim ordeal. That hit the news today. And, Michelle, you read about a lot of that today. What is your insight on it?
Yeah, well, my take from it, is Charlie Sheen was 19 and Corey Haim was 13 at the time. A 13-year-old is they're very malleable. I mean, you're gonna be able to manipulate them to do a whole lot. And it seems like, if this is true, it was a whole lot of manipulation on Charlie Sheen's part, and it just stinks, the whole thing. He was 13 years old, and if you read some of the stuff from Charlie Sheen's divorce, there's claims in there that he was, on different child pornography sites and watching young men and young women underage performing sexual acts on these. So the whole thing, if you take every piece and put it together, it does not look good.
No, it doesn't. And like I said, it's all speculation at this time. But I see it as just disgusting. I'm a huge fan of Corey Haim, the late Corey Haim, and it's really sad that he had to go through this ordeal and hold it in all these years. And I'm happy that it's finally starting to come out, if it is true, that it comes out and it's known, because it's something that should be known in Hollywood's eyes, and also the fans' eyes, of what happened. But other than that,
Corey took his life 7 years ago, and you have to wonder what part this played in all that. In his mindset.
I don't say they said he died of pneumonia. Wasn't really ruled as a suicide yet. He had a lot of medicated prescription drugs that he did get prior, but they never really pushed it on being a suicide.
The person I've been reading that said it was. So if I'm wrong on that, then do apologize. But that was what I was reading in a few stories. So I was horrified at that fact, that if that didn't have anything to do with It's just sad, and how it can turn someone's life, sexual abuse for a boy or a girl that young. Speaking from experience, it turns your whole life around. It changes you in ways you can't even imagine.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I strongly agree on that. And
So,
like I say,
if someone is guilty of this, they do deserve whatever punishment the law deems fit.
Well, they do, and it's just that if it is true, seeing Charlie Sheen, how he went on his career, had some great movies and films and TV shows, and Corey Haim, here he is going through this ordeal, suffering through this ordeal, and I'm not condoning the substance abuse or anything that he went through, but I'm still saying sometimes people look at that as an escape, and in this case, that's probably what he did. I'm not saying he did in that in any way. I'm just saying that it could be, but if it is, it just really held back his career, and it's really sad because he was a great actor, and he had a lot of great potential to really go mainstream, with which he did in the 80s and the early 90s, but he had a lot more to offer the Hollywood world and his fans. And I'm sure that this weighed on him all those years. And on more of a lighter news, did any of you watch the CMA Awards, the Country Music Awards at all?
My wife's watching it right now.
Yeah, well,
I can't.
You're not a big country music fan, are you, Michelle?
No, I'm also not a big award show fan either, because I don't think award shows are completely fair. So for that reason,
some of the highlights of the show was Taylor Swift did win Song of the Year at the 2017 Country Music Awards, and also Pink's daughter Willow made her 2017 CMA Award red carpet debut, which I'm a big fan of Pink. I mean, she does a great job in the music industry. And that Taylor Swift, I'm not a big fan of hers, but I know there's many that listening that are fans of hers, and congratulations to her for winning. So, but
my wife wasn't a huge fan of hers either. When they announced that she'd won the Song of the Year, I heard they like, what?
But like I say, she wins a lot of different awards, and this goes in her trophy case here. But also in some news I was watching today, how robotics are playing a factor with people with in shipping areas, car industries and such, in which they come out with a new exoskeleton that you can wear and actually use it to lift up heavy items that you normally could not use. And also they're using it on handicapped people and such, so they can put them in and they can walk and such. And it was really amazing watching. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about this. But you actually put on this suit that goes around you, and you can actually pick up like heavy items, carry them, drop them, and such. And it really fits in with your body. It's not like one big ectosuit like they had like in Aliens or something. This is just something that's really slim and compact that you actually look like you wear. And it was amazing just watching. So that's something that's interesting in the world today, that we're all going into robotics too.
Yeah, I've seen clips from a while back. Yeah, they've been working on that technology for a while now.
And also in our film and television news, Michelle, listen, have you watched American Horror Story last night with the whole Charlie Manson intake on it?
No, I didn't get to watch it yet. That's my plan for this evening after the show.
Yeah, a lot of good. No, I'm not gonna give no spoilers away because I know a lot of listeners probably didn't watch it yet. But it had a lot of good twists and turns in the episode, and a lot of surprises too, and deaths and such. But the story itself is really taken off. And next week is the finale, and it's hard to believe that it flew right by. I mean, this whole season just flew right by, but it was really gripping. I think it was a really good season.
I have a little good tidbit in the news. Something nice. Somebody giving back. Okay, Matthew McConaughey spent his birthday, which was last weekend, delivering 4,500 free Thanksgiving turkeys, and he was in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, giving these to local families. That's in your neck of the woods, isn't it, Lucian?
Oh yeah. He was. He was doing some promotional thing with one of the whiskey distilleries in the region, and I didn't recall reading the specifics of exactly how he got hooked up with this, but it was like he hopped in a pickup truck with him and said, "Hey, let's go." And next thing you know, he was out making deliveries with them. So.
Which is a nice thing to do. You might have just said, "Hey, you've got these turkeys, and we buy them," and I would just give them away to everybody, and that's a nice thing to do. So a little nice bit of news.
That is really nice. A lot of actors and a lot of celebrities really go that extra mile to bring something pleasant into the world, and which that's something you really appreciate hearing is when they're always doing that kind gesture.
Yes, and it's not something you can hear about most times.
And I'm, like I say, I heard somewhat about that, but thank you for talking about that. That was something. And then another thing that was interesting was how the entire cast of Thor put on a budget live play for an unsuspected audience. Did you hear about that in the news? That was really interesting.
No. Haven't heard about that, no.
Yep, it was a bunch of unsuspecting moviegoers were at a theater, and the whole entire cast put together a live Thor play for them. And it was just something that really was unsuspected by these people that went to see the movie to have these cast members do that with Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston and all the other actors were all involved. And they introduced Cate Blanchett, Jeff Goldblum, and Mark Ruffalo, and it just stunned the audience. And they're just really, I mean, little surprises like that are always nice to hear in the entertainment world.
Oh yeah, it's great stuff.
And speaking of entertainment world, like I say, today's special guest that'll be joining us shortly will be WWF superstars and legends Big Bully Busick, Nick Busick, and Tugboat, you know him as Tugboat, Typhoon, or the Shockmaster, Fred Ottman will be joining us. And Big Bully Busick has been a huge inspiration to me through my ordeals and such, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show today. And so isn't Fred Ottman. Fred is a terrific guy, and I still, in his career, I'm sure it's going to come up sooner or later in the conversation when he comes on the air, but it's the whole WCW falling through the wall moment on Flair for the Gold. I mean, that was memorable. But his whole career has been, I remember him teaming with Hulk Hogan, and starting when Hogan got injured by the earthquake, and Tugboat started that whole campaign, Get Well Hulk, with the bracelets and such, and that really took off. I mean, there's a lot of great things to be talking about this evening, and I'm looking forward for both of them stars to be on together, and it's going to be something to look forward to. You know, anything else good going on in the world? How has your week been?
Alarmingly average. Just working and taking care of a few odds and ends around the house here. We've got a bit of a mouse problem. I mean, I'm guessing it's the cold weather, and it's like I'm starting to feel like I'm on the set of Willard here. Got to get a flamethrower and start chasing him through the house after a while.
You see Lucian walking around and all these little rats and
with
mice
a flamethrower
everywhere.
With a flamethrower running through the house.
Definitely lower the property value real quick, that's for sure.
There's one of the little bastards there. Flames go up. Going out and buying a whole bunch of cats and everything, letting them loose in this house.
Cats with flamethrowers, that's it, okay.
Just a flamethrower.
How about cats with flamethrowers?
There you go, yeah.
Ties little flamethrower collars on them, running around the house, blasting little mice. And how about you, Michelle? Anything interesting this week?
Well, I had no exploding toilets and things like that to deal with, no flooding stores. So I'm actually, I had a pretty good week. No complaints for me.
Non-exploding toilets is good. Yes.
Yeah, the week before I had exploding toilets at work when I wasn't there, and it was a huge mess the next day when I came in. That was horrible. It was horrible.
I saw the pictures, Michelle. I think you posted those. It looked like
I didn't
a
post
flood
the
was
pictures.
there.
Yeah, I didn't post the worst pictures that were Snapchatted to me when it happened. I didn't share those because they were pretty gross. So, needless to say, the carpet, I think it needs to be replaced, but it's cleaned. It's just not wanting to stay down anymore. So
now this is at work, right?
Yes. Things happen. It was funny, I guess. Not so much. But I tried to make light of it, but it was a horrible situation. But it took me a week to clear up. So things like that happen. Thank God this week so far has been quiet and.
Now, was it a customer that caused this exploding toilet?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there was a customer left a present apparently that clogged up the plumbing.
There you go. You got your suspect. But,
yeah.
That's one of the ordeals you have to deal with in the retail or business world.
Yeah, when you let people use your bathroom.
Well, you could have it worse. You could have mice running in there too and exploding toilets.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to have to deal with mice because I don't know if I can even deal with that. I know if a mouse came in here, my cat would just look at it. Judging by how they deal with spiders, my dogs and my cat would just watch it, and they'd be like, "Hey, the food's this way. Come have a snack." They'd invite it to come and stay with them. They'd cuddle up with it on the couch. They would be like, "Hey, we got a new buddy. His name is Fred." His name is Fred the mouse. He's our new baby. He's our new baby brother. He's gonna stay here with us, and we'll feed him. Okay, that's how my pets would be.
Yeah, my 3 dogs. I don't think I think they're just totally oblivious to their presence. I've been threatening my wife. One of these days, I'm just going to tell them to clean out their lockers and turn in their IDs. They're fired, sort of thing.
Now, with the theme today and the special guest being of the pro wrestling world, also in putting the factor there, both Phenomenon and Bully have also been involved in the entertainment world with films and such. But what is some of your best memorable matches or one of your best memorable matches that you saw in your life, Lucy and Michelle?
I tell you, I remember this was back in Memphis. I started out, I was a big wrestling fan as soon as I knew how to switch the channel on the TV set. And I always used to watch, I think it was a USWA out of Memphis way back when. And I always got really enthused with it was Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. They would have these matches with the Moondogs. And these would be just real knockdown, drag out, no holds barred kind of things. I saw one to where they had camera rolling to where the fight went out of the ring, out into the lobby of the Coliseum. They went into a snack bar, and they were knocking one another's heads into the popcorn machine. They were smashing big jars of mustard over one another's heads. It was just absolutely crazy chaos. That was one. And then the WCW had a luchador battle royale one time. And the WCW for the longest time was probably the only major promotion who routinely had the luchadors. And they must have had at least 10 at one point in time. They had Psychosis. That was one. I forget, some of the other names, but they got in that ring And that match didn't need a referee. It needed an air traffic controller because bodies were flying everywhere. And it was just absolute mayhem, and you couldn't take your eyes away from the TV set.
Though that feud with Lawler and Dundee, that there was a great feud that they had back in those days, and one that I think was a great rivalry between both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of matches, it looks like it's It looks like we're being joined by the one and only Tugboat, Fred Ottman. How you doing, Fred?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and welcome to K&S Society TALK Live, and thank you for joining us today. We have with us co-hosts. We have Michelle Yeager and Lucian Toombs also joining us.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great, thanks. Big fan.
Excellent. Thanks, man.
And for Bully to join us, which will be joining us shortly. But Fred, Thank you, and we'll jump right into it. And so I know you've been on a lot of podcasts, and I know you speak always the same story about your professional wrestling career, and we'll speak about that a lot today as well. But also we want to go beyond that and help you promote and such of any upcoming things you have going on, because I know you've been still really active in the convention circuits and a lot of other deals you've been having going on. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, before you came on, I mentioned how you were trained by Boris Malenko. That's who your trainer was, correct?
That's correct.
And
that
was back
initially started. Pardon me?
Oh no, that was back in the Georgia days, was it?
No, I'm born and raised in Miami. I started training there on the weekends when, excuse me, and it wasn't enough for me, so I made the move up to Tampa where Boris lived, where I could train 6 days a week. And plus I was training in the gym sometimes twice a day as well as wrestling. And then having a job and on top of everything else. So I was living, breathing wrestling and trying to be the best I could be to go out into the business. I really actually broke in. They peeked at me in Georgia when he sent me up there with a couple of great veterans. And then, but I really, truly cut my teeth in Texas, in San Antonio.
And you were all over. You wrestled in, you said Texas, and then you wrestled in, was it the Continental Wrestling Association? That's when, as Big Bubba, and you wrestled in Championship Wrestling from Georgia, and that's where you started off as, was it Siegfried the Giant, and Championship Wrestling from Georgia?
I actually wrestled as Siegfried when they went to take a look at me. Actually, Carl Gotch gave me that name. It was Carl Gotch was who, as most wrestling fans and knowledgeable people know, that he was the person that actually took our style of wrestling to Japan. He's was almost like a god there, and he's the one that gave me the Siegfried moniker. When I went out to when I left Georgia after I went up there for just a brief time, when it was a single station NWA affiliate, then I actually went out to San Antonio, and I was there for about a year and a half, a little more than that. And I've been in, I wrestled for Lawler when Jerry Jarrett and Jerry the King Lawler had that had their promotion in Memphis. Then I wrestled in Portland, Oregon. I was lucky enough to, when I broke into the business, to be able to wrestle in territories. So before, I had the opportunity to wrestle other places. you know, like WCW and also obviously WWF, you know. And I actually, when I came back, I actually wrestled for championship wrestling for Florida, and went overseas and to Austria to work with Otto Vance. When I came back to Florida, the office called me in, and I was WCW and WWF were interested in me, and that's kind of where I went from there. But yeah, I had worked several different places.
And the WWF, when you came in, were you originally going to be billed as Tugboat, or was there a whole different?
No, I had been wrestling actually. I had been wrestling in Florida as the Big Steel Man, the Big U.S. Steel, and actually Diamond Dallas Page and Sir Oliver Humperdinck were my managers there in Florida. That's before Dallas became a wrestler. He was a promoter in a nightclub down in Fort Myers, and he always has loved the business. And he became very close with Dusty, and Dusty brought him up there. He was great on the microphone, always great talker. And he came up there and wrestled with me. Him and Sir Oliver Humperdinck both co-managed me for that purpose. And when I came back, I'd wrestled a Big Steel Man over with Otto. Came back, and then that's where I got the call, and I came up. And the first 6 to 8 months of my stint in the WWF was until they came up with a character, because it's all about merchandising and other stuff, because they own all the names and that stuff. I mean, I'm under a Legends agreement now with them. They own all my names, but they brought me in, and Slick was my manager actually. The first 6 to 8 months I was there. All 3 copies of the WWF and WWE encyclopedias, I'm in the front because I do a lot of signings, and I always am up front with the guys. I'm like, they want me to sign that book, and the object of most, fans is to get, when they do signings and stuff like that, they want to get as many characters into the book as possible. It makes it that much more valuable, and along with everything else. But a lot of them didn't. There's a lot of people don't know that I am in the beginning of in the front of the book, and so I always, kind of share that, because that way they can have a complete thing there. The only thing that hasn't been in there yet is the Shockmaster. Dun, 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 dun.
That was the Shockmaster. That was
yes.
Actually one of the highlights in the wrestling world. I mean, I still hear about it all the time. It's on YouTube.
Well, I always compare. I always tell people. I always tell them. I says, it's pretty basically the Rocky Horror Picture Show of professional wrestling. It has a following, good, bad, or ugly, which is good for me. I enjoy. It was only bad when it happened, and most people know me. I'm not thin-skinned, and I've rolled with it because, I'm a funny. I consider myself a fairly funny guy, and very immature. That my friends call me Inappropriate Fred because of certain things that I'll spout about and have I'm all about having a good time. I'm pretty basically a 61-year-old kid, So I watch cartoons, horror movies, and I enjoy wrestling. I was a fan before I became a wrestler. I became a wrestler, and I'm a fan afterwards. I mean, I picked up some great dolls. I was up in New York and Pennsylvania this weekend signings with some great guys, over 90 wrestlers, and it was pretty big. It was like a cavalcade of stars, and and I always enjoy doing those. I do Comic-Cons. But I really, because of all the stuff that's there that I'm into, and I get a good cross section of multiple fans, and because the wrestling, because every time I go to an event, I get to see my friends. You know what I'm saying? whether it be a show where I can see young up and coming talent and get a chance to talk with them and let them ask me questions and stuff, or whatever. I mean, I was talking to a guy today who was asking me questions from Ireland. He had contacted me today, and we were talking for a while. I mean, it's a great thing, and I was lucky enough to be up there with some really fantastic guys this weekend at the event 13, and then plus we were at a WOW show in Staten Island. And then we finished up at Bud Carson's museum and store up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, on Sunday. So it was a pretty neat weekend. I really enjoyed it.
And you're going to be at WrestleCade, aren't you? Like towards the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday in
yes, I
North
am.
Carolina.
Yeah. Yep, I'm going out, and also it's going to be awesome. There's going to be
activity over.
Oh, it's a great. They do a really good job with that and everything, and it's going to be exciting. This weekend, I'm going out for Jason Maples out in Indiana. He's got a big show out there. A great promoter, and always has some really outstanding guests. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I get to watch the young talent and a couple of the guys that are current work on the show. So that's going to be interesting also. And then I go up to Albany, New York, the following weekend up to a sports and memorabilia store up by Albany. It's outside there, and do a signing up there. So, and then WrestleCade, of course, at the end of the month. What a great way to spend Thanksgiving.
Well, I've been to one WrestleCade, and this was like a couple of years back, and it's a time when you go there, you meet all the stars in that, and everyone's so kind to you. And I mean, I got a picture of Jim Cornette and talked to Jim Cornette, and I got to meet Bobby Heenan, the late Bobby Heenan. Sadly, he passed away not too long ago, and I got to meet him. And I mean, you can meet a lot of great legends and stars at the WrestleCade in North Carolina. So all your listeners out there, it's Winston-Salem. You have to go. Yeah. It's gonna be a great festivity.
And there's always a wrestling show that's in conjunction with it, and that same weekend actually is the show that Vince is putting on up there.
Yeah, isn't he doing the Starcade? It's Starcade, right?
Starcade, exactly, and it's a house show. Starcade's a house show, and it's not very. It's very close to where we'll be. So you can spend your day there, and spend your night seeing some awesome wrestling. If you choose to. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty neat. I think actually Rock and Roll Express is wrestling on that show.
Oh, I watched them way back when for the Memphis Wrestling. Wow. Jeez.
Oh man, they're great guys, Hall of Famers, and just outstanding even now.
And to go back into the WWF, I'm sorry, Lucian. Go ahead.
No. Well, you mentioned you've seen some of the younger talent out there right now. Have you seen anybody out there that's like really impressed you? You think that kid's got real potential?
I've seen a lot of guys. This is the way I feel about. I had a wrestling school for about a year and a half. I just closed it down because I just got so much stuff going on my plate and that stuff. And I had a small promotion down here. But I believe the independents, there's good, there's good, bad, and the ugly. Like I always talk about my, different things. And but that is the territories now of in this day and time, and they're feeders. Talent. England has a real strong indie presence. They just had a big in Manchester, a big tryout day over there for some of the talent that's over in England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and so that's where I met a girl this weekend up in that works for Shimmer, and she also works down here. There's a all women's company that runs shows down here in Tampa Bay, in Ybor City, and came down here and worked for them also. But I'd heard a lot about her, and just a really sweetheart of a girl, and we used to talk for a few minutes and everything like that. So it's always nice, and I love. me and my wife get together, and even this area here, there's a lot of independent wrestling shows going on. Within a between here, Orlando, Sarasota, and up north of us, and there's Sika has a promotion over toward Orlando. I've been over there with my wife. There's several guys here, and I really enjoy going out and seeing. Sometimes you see some really bad stuff, but it's good, and it's a learning curve. The wrestling business, you're constantly learning. You know what I'm saying? Even when you get up to the WWF or going to Japan and stuff like that. Wherever it may be that you're going, the longer you're in the business, you're always learning. You're always learning. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So it's that kind of deal.
Such is life, yeah.
Yeah, and NXT is constantly picking up talent from the independents.
With going back to WWF days,
sure.
When you were going and the whole storyline was working out between your former tag team partner, the great Earthquake, John Tenta, the late Earthquake, when he was feuding with Hogan, that whole incident on the Brother Love show. Was it always talked about you joining Earthquake down the line, or was that something that just came about, or how did that all fit in? I know because you came in to aid Hogan on the whole situation when Hogan was put out.
No, I never heard it. There was never talk of that, not that I knew of. You know what I'm saying? There's always something going on. Not that I talked of. Matter of fact, before I was put together with them, I did the photo shoot in I think Rhode Island. We were doing a photo shoot on some tugboats, and after that I had seen a prototype for a tugboat figure that Hasbro was going to come out with. I seen the large sculpted figure, the model figure, and the blueprint for a tugboat doll, and I was really excited about that. That's the doll that never was, and because after that, when I went back I went home, and then when I went back to TV. Quake's run was finished with Hogan, and they had talked to me about what do you think about putting me together with Quake, and I love it. First of all, Quake was a great guy, tremendous wrestler. He was a tremendous amateur wrestler. He wrestled for about a year as a sumo in Japan, where he broke in. He wrestled at LSU here in the States, amateur. He was an alternate on the Canadian Olympic team. You know what I'm saying? And he was he was like my brother from another mother. I always tell people that, and legitimately so. Matter of fact, his son and my oldest son that works with WWE now, he and him were great friends since a young age. I remember going with Quake to Disney World and riding the Dumbo ride when I always tell people, with the hats on, the mouse ears. People like, oh my God, they recognize this, and they were like, oh, just a cool thing. A cool thing. I miss him a lot. His family was awesome. Matter of fact, I have one of his singlets that his son John had sent me years ago. So it's cool. When my son, when WWE goes to Houston, that's where he lives. Matter of fact, John Jr. is getting married in December. So it's kind of a cool thing.
You and Earthquake were like an awesome tag team. You couldn't put a better tag team together with the size and the strength, and name them the Natural Disasters. Yeah. It was right on there.
Yeah.
And your matches, you went in there, and Earthquake was really intimidating. He was one of my favorite wrestlers of all times watching.
Yeah.
He was monstrous. He can play that villain role. He was a great heel. And since when you squashed Hogan on the Brother Love show, and then you started that campaign, Save Hogan, and then you had that match with the Bushwhackers, and you teamed up with them against the Nasty Boys and the Earthquake, and then you went ahead and you turned against Bushwhack. No one saw that coming. Not one person saw that coming. and it was just wow. And they put you two together, and it was just awesome. And you won. How many tag team champions? Was it just one? You were
we won a
numerous
couple.
tag team champions for him.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, I've probably had about 30-something belts through my career, different little companies and stuff, you know. But with him, yeah, there's still people that hate me to this day because I turned on the Bushwhackers, you know. And Luke is one of my best friends. We talk all the time. He has a gym in Clearwater. I live in downtown St. Petersburg, but when I was out on Clearwater Beach for about 4 years, and I used to train at his gym. Hogan trains at his gym, you know, and so it's a wild deal, you know. But there's still people out there that have that. It was horrible, but just like you say, it just totally blindsided the fans. It was a great angle when they did do that, you know, because here I was, you know, the happy-go-lucky, you know, cheerleader, pretty basically for Hogan. I mean, you know, he was the greatest thing in the world. When they told me, when they put me with him, I still couldn't believe it. Oh my God, I'm going to be out here with Hogan. You know, I mean, it was just an incredible deal. You know, and I've always been, you know, I'm still good friends with him, and it's always been a really good pleasure. You know, had that chance to
and wasn't there
work
like
with
talks
him.
in the past? WrestleMania 7, it was supposed to be headlined. You were going to be wrestling Hogan. And that you're supposed
the whole deal. Matter of fact, they, you know, the rumor that supposedly was released by Brother Love was that Chic Tugboat would have been the deal. That would have been, you know what I'm saying? And then, as everybody knows, you know, it was Slaughter that turned. You know, he gave up his country and did the whole deal and was with, you know, and became the anti-American hero, you know. So, yeah.
But I'm happy the way it turned out,
I
though,
didn't even
because...
Huh? Pardon me?
I'm happy the way it turned out because it actually played off good as Slaughter, but you fit in perfectly with the whole Natural Disasters tag team.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I mean, I'm sure you were going to see you guys in the Hall of Fame in the tag team circuit because, I mean, it was just, you guys were an amazing tag team. And, I mean, that spanned almost, what was it? You turned, was it like 94, 95 that you, no, it was before that.
Yeah, about 92.
That you went with,
92, 93.
And you lasted
a
while as the Natural Disasters.
But, you know, the thing is, people always talk, and I get that question about the Hall of Fame and that stuff. There are so many guys that belong there. You know what I'm saying? There are so many guys. It's a great honor when somebody tells you, like you know that you deserve, you know, you guys are going to be in there, or you deserve this or that. You know what? It would be a great honor, but there's just so many guys out there that I think are so worthy to be in there for one reason or another that are not in there. Some are political, some are, you know, there's just different things. And I just feel in my heart of hearts, you know, there's a lot of people that deserve that notoriety and deserve that, you know, to be that part of history and that stuff. I says, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe one of these days, you know, I may be dead and gone, you know, maybe I'll get honored to be in there. But the bottom line is, I mean, it's nice to be told that, but, you know, I'd like to see everybody. I mean, everybody that's worked and been a part of, you know, this business, you know, deserves a place, you know. I know there's only a limited number that's every year, but they deserve, you know what I'm saying? They've given their blood, sweat, and tears for the entertainment of the fans, you know. And I believe in my heart of hearts that, you know, and no, it's not a possible thing. You know, you can't go poof and wave the magic wand and everybody's, you know, oh, you're all going to the Hall of Fame. You know, it's like being on an Oprah Winfrey show. You got a car, you win a car, you win a car. You know what I'm saying? But thank you, and, you know, and thank all the people that feel that way, you know. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And, you know, and I just wish all my friends are going to be in there, you know. Like I said, I'm a wrestling fan, and before I ever became a wrestler, and I'm still a wrestling fan. I collect toys, I collect, I'm saying, from the business, and I have autographed stuff. I get guys to sign autographs for me, so I have them, and I have them in my book or in a place of prominence, and that's just me.
Then there was WCW. Now, what brought you to the transition to go to WCW?
What? Huh? Pardon me? What brought me
that
there?
transition from WWF to WCW?
Yeah,
like, what brought you to WCW?
Well, I got a call from there. Them asking me to come there, and the only reason I had left WWF when I left WWF was I had opened 2 businesses in Key West. I have family down there, and I opened 2 businesses down in Key West. And right before I was opening my businesses, my partner, my brother-in-law, was going to be my partner down there. That way, it wouldn't take me off the road. When on my days off, I could come down there and work with him with the business, and then fly back out when I go back on the road. And he wound up getting shot and killed up in Tampa Bay right before we opened the doors, and I had a whole lot of money involved in those businesses down there, two bars and restaurants. And so I had to go take care of my business. I mean, I had too much involved in that, and I sat with Vince, gave him a notice, and that's what took me out of there. And I went back in there a short time when actually Quake went down to WCW to become the Shark, And then it was after him. Well, it was somewhere in there. It was all in there. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It's a long time ago, and I don't have a scorecard in front of me with dates and places and things. But we crossed paths down there too. But when he left, he was in a program with Yoko, and they brought me up there, and they actually wanted me to come back full time. And when I was contacted to come up there to take his place when he went to WCW, that's what the deal was there. And things happen. Things happen for a reason. Things, all that goes.
And then that's when the famous debut happened with the Flair for the Gold and Sting and sitting there introducing the Shockmaster.
There you go. Bash at the Beach, Daytona Beach, live, not taped,
yep.
live event.
And I remember as a fan watching that, I was like, oh my God, we fell to the wall. But
actually, when that happened,
when that happened, like, what was your reaction when that happened? Like, I know you were quick to go and counter and to go on with the promo, but
I don't. I've always, even with my the kids and stuff, there's no perfect world. Things happen. It's just like guys get out there, young guys wrestle, and then things don't go. There's a bad habit that young guys have of calling matches and stuff like that and everything in the back, and things never happen the way you want them laid out to happen. It just isn't that way, and that's why we train to wrestle. So it's like walking and talking and playing, and chewing gum at the same time. You have to have that ability. You have to be able to think at the spur of a moment, because things happen. Mistakes happen. That you have no responsibility or no control of. With that thing there, the wall wasn't a gimmicked wall. I actually busted a wall like would be in your house. I broke up about 5 boards breaking that wall. And wearing a mask that I could not see out of, 2 little pinholes. Okay, and when it happened, my thoughts were, grabbing the helmet, turning my head so that to try and semi-hide my identity, jump up where so that Ole could, do the promo and me pantomime, as if I was talking. And that was the only thing that was on my mind. You know, it happened. You can't cry over spilt milk like they always say, you know what I'm saying? My parents said that many, many years when I, growing up. And it's one of those kind of situations that you have to go forward and go, and do what you can with it. After that, it's up to the office about what they want to do and what route they want to take as far as that goes. Did they make the right decision? I'm not them, and, like I said,
but
shite happens.
It did work out, though. I mean, it did work out.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and it did,
when
like
I was
I said,
at
it
Mania,
became a part of history.
Yeah. When I was at Mania this year, we were at WrestleCons, and I was doing signings there with the boys. A guy comes up, and he was in the truck when that thing happened. He was the guy. He was over the, he was the tech guy. And he comes up and goes, Fred, and he gives me a big hug, and we were talking and that stuff. You've seen the helmet on the table because it goes everywhere with me. The original helmet. When you see the helmet on the table, that's the original one when I'm doing a signing. I have people that want to get that put on their head and, and have their picture taken with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's like the holy grail of professional wrestling. The helmet, that's the helmet. He says, how did you get that? I says, I took the bump. I says, I get the helmet, okay? It's my cross to bear. But I've had fun with it, you know what I'm saying? It was bad when it happened. It was, you always want to, when you're, as a professional wrestler, you always want to do, wrestle and do the best of your ability. That's just, how I was trained, and the tools and stuff like, you know what I'm saying? Some things we have no control over. So, I'm not the first one to flub in this business or have a mishap in this business. I've seen professional wrestlers go to jump over the top rope, hook their feet, and fall flat on their face into the ring. Quick jump up, recover, and, you got to go from there. You can't just sit there with your thumb up your butt and look at the crowd and da-da-da-da, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those kind of deals. It's kind of like
keep going.
You got to try and make the best of a bad situation.
It's acting training. I mean, it's one of those things, you just don't want to stand there with that deer in the headlights look kind of on your face. It's like, what do I do next? You just take it up and run with it.
Yeah, I tell it to many young men and ladies, this is very important, just like I was talking about before as far as guys calling a match and trying, it's going to be just like this. No, it ain't. It's never going to be like you think it's going to be. You get out there, for every wrestling hold, there's a counter hold, and you got to kind of like think on your feet and do, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff. If something messes up, you grab a hold and go on to the next thing that you're going to do, you know what I'm saying? And those guys that you're wrestling with should be trained and know enough that they can do that. That's why, it's not staged. People used to come up to me, when you guys practice this stuff, I go, there's no practicing. I was, for over 28 years, I wrestled over 300 days, minimal 300 days a year. Our life was planes, trains, airplanes, and sometimes a boat, and to get to where you wanted to be. I've been, wrestled over 40 countries. I've wrestled to all the states except for maybe a couple. There's a couple of them, there's not enough people there, that a big company would do a show, maybe an independent, yeah. But, it's just the way it is. And multiple times all over the place, and, and that was our lives. You'd fly into someplace, sometimes you'd have to drive 200 or 300 miles to get to the town that you're going to wrestle to that night, So there's no practice. Practice is, it's on-the-job training, your practice. I trained for a couple of years, and, I had a little bit of amateur background also. It's like new guys are, and the business is constantly changing. The business now is different from the business back then. I don't know if it's for the good or not for the good, you know what I'm saying? But it's constantly changing. You can't compare. I hear a lot of armchair wrestling fans out there that are complaining about this or it's not like it was when it was in 1980s and 90s, this era and that era and that, you know. You should, if you're going to watch wrestling, you should enjoy it. Not everybody likes Hulk Hogan. Not everybody likes Ultimate Warrior. There may be a guy on the second or third match that somebody came there to watch because there's something about that individual wrestler or that angle that's going on that they like. You know what I'm saying? And that's the nature of the business. If that makes any sense.
Oh, definitely.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, nowadays, like you say, you're touring the convention circuits and you're going. I mean, I follow your posts and everything. I see all the pictures of you at these conventions and that. You have Wrestle Kid coming up. You have a couple of other conventions coming up. And would you ever, was the talk ever brought up to you about returning to the ring or maybe doing something more with the wrestling business today?
Well, this is me. You know what I'm saying? If I feel, you know, guys go, oh, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm in the gym every day. I trained for a couple hours a day, and I try and train 6-7 days a week. You know, it keeps me mentally where I need to be, and you know, keeps me healthy and that stuff, and you know. But you know, as far as wrestling, you know, you got to know when to. What's that old Kenny Rogers song? Know when to hold them and know when to fold them, kind of deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that some guys still want to wrestle. There's a lot of guys out there that are older that, you know, are still working and everything like that. God bless them in that, you know. But I feel that if I haven't got the look, you know, that I should have, and I don't, you know, I can't. I want to be able to give the wrestling ability that I had when I was younger, and if I'm not, you know, I wouldn't want to be out there in front of people and insult the people. You know, they may want me to be out there, and if I'm limited by my physical ability or, you know, all the injuries I've had through the years, you know, I'm not going to do it. And I have people ask me all the time. I said, you know, independents will ask, do you still wrestle? I said, no, I don't wrestle anymore. There's a bunch of guys that do, but I don't wrestle anymore. If you want me to come in and manage or do a Q&A kind of deal and, you know, road stories and stuff like that, you know, and a little insight into different things and, you know, funny anecdotes, I can do that. But wrestling, not anymore. I mean, it's just how I am, you know.
And
I want to have my golden years. I want to have my golden years where I'm able to walk and that stuff. You know?
Yeah, better to bow out than burn out.
You know, but you know, there's some people
that
are out there still working. God bless them, you know.
And I know you've been you were in a lot of you were in a lot of films also, minor roles and such. Is that
I've done some TV.
How was that like?
TV movie.
Yep.
What?
Yep, you're in TV movies. How was that like the transition? How'd you like that field of being in that side of entertainment with films and that?
Oh, I loved it. I love it. I'd still do some of that kind of stuff. I had a couple of different people that talk to me and stuff, and I have a friend of mine, Andrew Anderson, who is always with Hammer, and I've known him for years, and he just did a piece on Gotham. They killed him, and they're bringing him back in a few episodes down, and he's just signed a 22. He'll be shooting 22 days out in L.A. on another project, and I think it's great. I think that's what the WWE has. You know what I'm saying? Now all the people are, you know, up there. I mean, you know, they have the greatest production company now. They're making movies. They're doing TV stuff. And they're a lot of their talent is transitioning into doing some movie stuff and some TV stuff, commercials and stuff. I think it's great. I think it's a terrific type deal, and I believe that it, you know, also helps in the talking ability and stuff of their superstars. You know, I mean, it's definitely. I enjoyed it. I always wanted to do voiceover. I would have liked to have done some of that and everything. I worked on Mortal Kombat, and the director came to me. I worked on the TV series for Sci-Fi Network, and he was like, man, have you ever thought about doing voiceover? I says, yeah. Can you put me in the right direction? You know, but it was really good. I mean, you know, Randy Savage back in the day did some cool cartoon work. I think that would be awesome. Always wanted to do some horror, you know, horror type stuff. You know, maybe. I mean, my horse hasn't run into the sunset yet, so you know, you never know what lies ahead. You know, I love all the stuff that's out there, and I love the business, and I meet a lot of when I do the Comic-Cons and stuff, meet a lot of movie, TV stars and stuff like that, and have some really interesting conversations with them. You know, so it's pretty neat. You know, and it did open a lot of doors. Yeah, I did commercials, but I did some of that stuff when I was in Miami before I ever got into business too.
And you're under a Legends contract with WWE still, and I know you're in the new video games with WWE 2K17 and
2K18.
also 2K18. Yep.
I was in 16 and 17 and now 18. And
and
I worked on the Edge and Christian show where they tried to rectify my problem.
Yeah, I remember that.
As the Shockmaster, they gave me that second chance, you know. But and
that was
kind of neat, you know. And when the Shockmaster came out, it was at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con. It was the premiere of the figure for that show, the elite figure for exclusive for 2016, and that was, you know, Mattel and the office flew me out for that deal. It was incredible. It was a great experience, and of course the new figure is, you know, as you know, it's an awesome package, an awesome figure, and very, very neat. You know, I would have never guessed. And plus, they had given me the preview for the Tugboat and the Typhoon and Earthquake figures. So it was a great guy. And all the guys that do those figures for Mattel are all wrestling fans. They sit down, they talk, you know, and get together and bump their heads together, how they're going to do the packaging, the whole 9 yards. You know, and I don't know if you've ever seen that, the Shockmaster figure. The packaging is incredible.
Upside down.
Mick Foley said it's a must-have. Okay, I'm a wrestling fan.
That's
pretty
the
cool.
figure that's packaged upside down. Yeah.
That's it. I never knew it would be a break dancer. Okay, a package spinning on my head. Yes, sir. Yeah. And it gives the falling through the wall. There's a big hole in the package, and on the back side gives the whole scenario of what happened. So it's kind of a neat deal.
And like in the business, being in the business, and your brother-in-law was the late Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. And how was it working with him in the business? Working with your brother-in-law?
It was great. We had some bloody matches. As a matter of fact, I think last month a cage match. They put the some of the Florida tapes onto the network, and a cage match that I was with him in Robarts Arena. I still carry that picture around in my phone, and of both of us bloody messes, you know, and that was awesome, you know, and he was awesome. He's a good guy. He's my oldest son that works, like I said before, Berkeley. He works with WWE and NXT, both in production. He trained to be a referee. He's actually an my friend Marty Jones, that's a legend in England, just had sent me some pictures from when they had tryouts in Manchester, and my son was in the ring as the referee. And I posted them, and they're like, good, congratulations, your son, you know, like he's a referee. He's been working there, 3.5, 4 years for them, and he started with FCW, and he actually, when he was 16, he started putting rings together and all that stuff at FCW and helping out around there before NXT here in Tampa, and he when he turned 18, he went through wrestling school, and he's a skinny kid, skinny and tall, fairly tall, 6'2" and a half or whatever. And he jumped in there with him. Matter of fact, Dusty, Mike Graham, a legend in Florida for years, he was the one that trained him. So that's pretty cool. And he works now in TV production. Started at NXT, they put him over there, and then they brought him up to the main roster, and he works the pay-per-views and SmackDown and Raw, and goes straight back to Florida to work with NXT, doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm real proud of him. He's very, very, very good.
Is there any a road story you want to share with the listeners? We have a lot of listeners that are listening in. Is there a road story you want to share with us?
I don't know. I've had so many bumps and so many chairs in my head that my brain don't work half the time.
Is there one with you, an earthquake?
Oh, yeah. Well, one I usually talk about is when we went to, we were wrestling a double shot up in Maine in Boston Garden that night, where we, at noontime, we were working in the town where Stephen King is from. And we had taken wrestling, and they had told us there that he usually comes there. He's a big wrestling fan. I don't know if you've ever read any of his stuff. I know that you're a horror kind of guy.
Yeah.
And Needful Things. He mentions Chief Jay Strongbow in there, and Needful Things for one. And anyway, he's a big wrestling fan. So they run his town as a spot show. And so we were up there in the afternoon and didn't show up. It was like 30 or 40 degrees, 30 below, I think, up there. When we came in at nighttime and stayed there. And then we wrestled at noon. And so we were excited. We thought we were going to see him, and he didn't show up. So the policemen that were there for security, they told us where his house was. So we went to his house to take some pictures outside. We were both big Stephen King fans. I had books with me. He had books we were reading on the road. And so we're doing photo ops out in front of Stephen King's house. And there's snow up there about our butts, and the sidewalks have been plowed, and streets. And the people are all looking out the window because here's two big gorillas outside taking pictures and posing in the snow in front of his house. And his house is cool. Just cool. I mean, it's just like he rolled out one of his books. And anyway, I'm taking pictures of Quake, and Quake sees a car, and the house sits up from the road a little bit, and it's got a cemetery iron fence that goes all around it, the front. Anyway, he's like, look, it's him, and he goes running down the sidewalk. I'm waiting for him to fall on his ass. And as he runs down the icy sidewalk to where the gates are and out, and I start following down there. I'm shaking my head and get down there about the time that a Suburban rolls up to the gate, and it's Stephen King. And on the dashboard is glued about 50 California Raisins dolls on his dashboard. And he stops for us, and he knew who we were, and he's like, oh, my God, blah, 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 blah. He was going to pick up his child or children from the skating rink. That's the only reason he didn't come to the wrestling show. And signed our books and the whole 9 yards. But that was probably one of the cooler things on the road as far as a road story goes. A lot of the other ones, they go, Fred, you should write a book. I says, no, the stuff that I know is what somebody would want to read about, but it would be called Behind the Curtain and Under the Mat, because, it's just too fulfilling for most wrestling fans and too hard on most of their families, But just say that being on the road was very entertaining. That's all I could tell you. Very entertaining.
Like I say, I followed your career for many years, and I mean, when you offer a lot to the wrestling business, and you still do to many, many fans, and never forgotten on that. And
I love the
your days
the fans, man. That that makes when somebody goes, man, you know, you made my childhood, or I loved you guys, you know, or I loved the tugboat deal, or this or that. You know, it's a great honor. You know, it's nice to be appreciated for what you've done in the business. You know, even some of the bad stuff, you know, and you know, some of the more unfortunate stuff. You know, everything happens for a reason. You know, and I think it's very, very cool. You know, you got, you know, it's been a blessing. It's still continue. I feel blessed to still be able to do things around and in the business, you know, so, and see my friends from time to time and spend time with them and cut up. And, you know, when the guys get together, really the stories come back, you know, come out in the whole 9 yards. You know, I mean, you know, there are guys like certain guys have been wrestling since the almost early 60s, you know, that are still, you know, doing it out and about, you know what I'm saying? So, and you get together and, you know, share about different guys, you know. I feel blessed because I worked with guys that I watched on TV, okay, as a youngster. And I had the ability to work with them and work with young guys that came after me, you know. And so, to me, that's really wonderful, you know, and to see them and to sit down and break bread and, you know, sit down while they, you know, have a beer or so, you know, and just have a good time. It's a really cool thing.
You mentioned about awesome friends, and we're going to be joined right now by one of your really good friends, and that is Big Bully Busick, Nick Busick. How you doing today, Nick?
Gentlemen, how are you guys? Sorry I'm so late calling in.
How are you doing, Big Daddy? What are you doing?
You know what, bro? I'm doing good, brother. I'm batting 93%, and I stole second on him. I stole third. All I got to do is get into home plate, and I'll tie the game for extra innings.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. I love it.
So,
how about you?
Thanks
you doing?
for joining us.
How are you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You know, what do they say? You got to live every day like it's a Friday and every night like it's a Saturday night. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I absolutely do.
That's it, man. You just got to go. You know, the gym is my friend. It keeps me where I need to be. And I don't have to tell you that, do I, big brother?
Oh, you know what? And jokes and cokes aside, it saved my ass. It really and truly did. And I still, to this day, I make it a point to go no matter how I'm feeling.
That's it, man. You know, if you do something, at least you're doing something, even on a bad day.
Yep,
you know?
Absolutely.
And
Keith, what about you? What's happening in your world?
I'm doing really, really well. I had some ups and downs, but it's been a battle. And
well,
like
Fred and I both
followed
know. When was your last workout?
I go to the gym one.
No. Keith, we want to know when Keith's last workout was.
Oh, yeah. When's your last workout?
Well, I actually worked out 2 days ago. I had an ordeal the other night, so I ended up back in the hospital. I got out today, early this morning. So I have to get back into that routine. But I've been going. I've been faithful to it. I haven't been letting myself down. I've been staying positive and pushing along.
Good.
That's good.
One foot in front of the other.
That's good. That's right. God bless you, man. That's awesome.
I know. I had a chance to listen to Fred talk a little bit, and he was so right. He was hitting the nail right on the head about coming up through the ranks and how when he started, and I just he took me back through my early years too, and it's just, and I'm sure he'll agree with me. There's no fan like a wrestling fan, and the business it's just great.
It is a great business. I hear a lot of negativity. I was saying, you know, by a lot of armchair athletes out there, you know, that seem to judge, you know, but the thing is, give it a chance, and, you know, and things are always changing. They can't always be the way they were, you know, so you have to appreciate the work that these young men and women are putting in there, you know, and what they're doing.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Fred. And I mean, you come back from our era, and it certainly is not the same. But you know the saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But I see these kids taking bumps today that I would never dream of taking.
Oh,
of course they're weighing 210, and you know you were up over 300, and
yeah.
I was right around the 300 mark, so we weren't going to fly around like that.
You know, even the women, I'm seeing them take stuff. I'm like, what is their longevity going to be in this business? You know, that's my biggest concern. Because, you know, I know how we feel getting up in the morning sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure I can speak for you the same way, you know. And I just worry, you know, I worry about them as far as that goes. You know, but the stuff that they do, you know, the performances are just incredible.
Yeah, it is. It really and truly is. And I too, I wonder, you know, what's going to happen when they make it up into our age. And you know, I'm sure you're younger than I am, but I just it's when I see what these guys do physically in the ring, I just shake my head and say, "Oh my God, God bless them."
Oh. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm like, oh my God. I see stuff and I'm looking and I see so many guys get hurt. Somebody had posted a really funny picture using some of the action figures that are out there. They said this is the WWE crew. They had guys on crutches with casts, and this and that, you know. And I laughed. It was funny, but maybe not. You know, it was kind of shooting on the square.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just talking to Kurt Angle the other day, and you know, I knew that he wasn't passing their wellness test because of his neck, and I was surprised to even see him get in on the Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think they were pushed against the wall because of the people that were out sick.
Yeah,
you know, with the different things. I was really surprised, you know, and I was hoping they'd be okay working like that, knowing how his neck is, you know.
Yeah,
because Malenko all those years, he had broke his neck at a young age. He has a S-shaped scar on his neck when in the very beginning when I started training, you know. But he was just an incredible athlete.
Oh yeah, he was, and he was probably one of the first ones of the. Now I didn't know him personally. I never got to work with him or meet him, but he was probably one of the first of the lighter guys that come in and made it.
Oh yeah, the matches that him and Benoit had were incredible. Oh my God.
They still, and I guess kayfabe is dead because of social media, but I'll say this, and maybe I shouldn't, but they were the first ones that could still tell a story in their match and do everything you see on TV today.
Exactly. Because that's also that old school telling a story, you know.
Back in your days in wrestling, they didn't have all the jumping and high flying and that back in the 80s and early 80s and such, did they?
Well, there was a few guys that did it, you know what I'm saying? Especially with the Mexican guys from Mexico, when I'd go to Japan, they were wrestling 2 out of 3 falls in Mexico on a normal deal, you know, and I remember seeing a ring in Laredo, Texas, that was the padding was peanut shells. And that was the padding of the ring. It was an outdoor ring. The whole outside rails were concrete. The corner posts were concrete. Put the boards over it, put down peanut shells, and a mat over the top, and that was the ring that they were working at.
But OSHA would have had a field day with that. Jeez.
Oof. But there was a few guys that were, you know, that and in Japan also, you know, but they were usually like cruiserweights, like
Yep.
You know.
I want to say probably the only high flyers, if you want to call them that, were like the likes of Jimmy Snuka and occasionally Ricky Steamboat. who do the really high moves. But yeah, those are the only two that come to mind from back in that era.
Well, when Snuka first flew off the top rope, I mean that was one of the milestones in professional wrestling.
Yeah, now you got girls that are coming off, doing moonsaults and doing a variety of different. You know what I'm saying? They're doing 360s and stuff like that, and taking planchas to the floor and different things. And I'm like, oh my God, just incredible. But like I said, I worry, especially with the the women, where they're going to be in 5 years or 10 years. Sometimes for the love of the business and and the whole deal.
Well, I think, and Fred, tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
But as I watch, I don't watch it as intently as I used to. But as I'm watching, I'm wondering if it isn't starting to come back full circle, because you're starting to see some big guys in there, like your size. Well, you have, and I might not pronounce the guy's name right, the big powerlifting looking dude. Yeah.
Von Strowman.
Now he's a big guy, and he works great. Lesnar. Go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead.
I'd be interesting to watch him and Lesnar's match. Lesnar looks like he can be a little stiff, but where I come from, hell, Blackwell and Brody, you better be stiff.
Oh yeah.
And then there were
you had guys back in the day like Bruiser Brody. They were machines.
Oh.
Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, all those guys, they didn't stop.
Yep. Well, back then, wrestlers were the old school tough guys. And you portrayed those roles, both of you. I mean, Bully, you portrayed a lot of that tough guy role when you went to WWF. But back in before the WWF, you always had those good old-fashioned slugfest matches with by the top stars.
Well, I was very fortunate because of the guys. I didn't do schools. When I first started, it was the WWF, and then all those guys. I think Bruno just liked me because I was a power lifter, and then Dominic and Putski and all them guys. I got my learning. They kept booking me. I'll never know why, because I used to walk in the locker room and all them guys say, "Oh no, who's got the kid tonight?" So. But then when I went to Atlanta, Blackwell really took me under his wing, and he beat the dog crap out of me for months on end until I finally stiffened up. And another war story I'll tell is, they brought Brody in, and Dickie Slater was the booker, and Dickie pulled me back in the locker room. He says, "Bully," he says, "look," he says, "you better not go out there with Brody and do any dancing around or trying to work the crowd." He says, "because Brody's going to stomp your head in." He says, "just go in there and be stiff." And that's what I did. I just went in with Frank and Brody, and just went in and I had a good solid match, which I loved. And those guys taught me that. And we come back in the locker room, and Brody was looking at his little toe. He said, "Bully, I think you broke my toe." Because when I went in, he reversed that turnbuckle, and I hit his foot so hard, because I didn't want him to think that I wasn't giving him a good match. He was laughing, and he loved it. So,
but that's how he was, though. I in my first territory was down there in Texas, and he'd come in all the time, and he was like, and everybody was really good there about helping. It was like family, man. And and he came to me one day. He goes, "Hey, kids, don't listen to these small guys. They come to see the big guys, okay?" He goes, "One of these days you're going to go to Japan, and you just beat the crap out of them, okay?" That's what he told me when he come in there. He was funny, It was funny listening to him, but he was a good guy. But just like you're saying, and like I said, you go in there with Stan Hansen or Bruiser Brody and go in there and that dancing shit around, it wasn't going to work. I mean, they're going to come, and they could go. They did. It was like they didn't blow up. I mean, You got get in there, and you between getting excited or wanting to do, you're worried about giving a good match.
Fred. How did him, Blackwell, Abdullah the Butcher?
Yeah.
I remember Abdullah was working. We were in Atlanta when Blackwell had the Georgia territory, and I forget the guy he was working, another big guy, and Abby purposely blew him up. And they worked back towards the locker room. He come in the locker room and grabbed me. He says, "Come on, this guy's too tired." He took me out in my pants and finished the match.
Oh my God! And they're both good. I loved Jerry. He was, oh my God, what a good guy.
Boy, was that guy good to me. Man, was he good to me.
Oh, he's good to me. All the experiences I had with him, he had that Burl Ives look to him, and but he was just, oh my God, and could drop kick and could do all that stuff, and I was like, wow, he was a big old thick guy, and a good guy, I miss a lot of stuff like that. There was, there wasn't, maybe I'm wrong, but there wasn't like the egos, for the most part. I mean, you always get a few, but it was a good, it was good stuff, and that's why when I was down there in Texas, that's where Shawn Michaels had just come his second territory. I was there with, and Jose Lothario, the guy that broke him in the business, okay, and there was the Guerreros were in there. There was all the Guerreros came in and out. Brody was in and out between Dallas, and I was in San Antonio down there then. And he was working a program with Mark Lewin, and God, we have just a cavalcade of guys, and it was good when they knew you was a green guy. And Nick Kaninsky was there. That's Gene Kaninsky's son, the one son. The other son was working in Dallas, and just a whole ton of different guys were down there, and we all kind of worked together. Terminator was there. That's Animal's brother. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was Mexicans there, Goliath and Solitario, the deaf guy wrestler from Mexico, Black Gordman. I could go down a laundry list because when I first came in there, Buck Robley was the booker.
Buck Robley, oh my God! There's the name
Colonel Buck Robley. Oh my God! But it was it was a great experience, and that's how it was. Like I was telling these guys earlier, it's a, you train, okay, to wrestle, but until you're constantly learning. Until you retire, you may not learn everything, and the business is constantly changing, and you're learning new stuff, and you're trying new stuff, and it's a good thing, man. And you, I know you're like me. I go. Until I worked in the ring, if I was first, after I came out, I'd be at that curtain, watching all the other guys work and watching and learning. What did this look? That didn't look too good, but this looked better, and give you new stuff. Maybe I'll try that the next time in the ring, and just that kind of mentality. I was constantly trying to learn that, and I'd ask questions.
If them old timers didn't like you, and I know you're going to agree with me on this,
yes.
If they didn't like you, they wouldn't smarten you up.
No. The first time I got sent to Georgia with Cyclone Negro and Tony, what's his name? He wrestled as the Batman back in the day.
Oh wait a minute, Tony
Marino. Okay, ex-Mr. America. We went out of town. This guy drove us up to Atlanta. They want to take a look at me. Malenko set me up with these guys. I wasn't 5 minutes outside of town. I was in the back of an Eldorado with Marino on one side and Cyclone Negro on the other. I swear it wasn't 5 minutes and both them guys were asleep. I had one on one shoulder, one on the other. They're snoring. And the guy looks up in the mirror and he goes, "Well, kid," a guy named Ron Slinker. He looks up, he goes, "That's how you can tell a real veteran. They can sleep anywhere." Oh, Lord.
Great word.
I didn't even know what kayfabe was. They didn't even smart me up to that.
Keith, you're getting a lot of war stories out of us, buddy.
Oh, I am. Oh. I'm enjoying every minute of it. Now, did you guys ever cross paths?
Oh, yeah.
Both of you. Did you guys ever step in a ring together?
Oh, well, no, we worked up in New York together. And you know what? I think we worked down in Florida when Dusty had the territory, too.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. That's when, before Razor Ramon became Razor Ramon. He was down there, too.
I got a chance to work the big kid that has since passed. Oh, my, I'm ashamed to say I can't remember his name. He was really going places, too. Mike.
Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
He was he was awesome in Japan.
Yeah,
I mean, he was over in Japan. He was working in Japan a lot.
He was just starting when Dusty put me to work down there, and he put me over in the ring, which I couldn't believe. But I mean, yeah.
I sold him his first pair of wrestling boots. That kid. I had an old pair, and Steve Kern was training him.
Steve Kern
was training him. Yeah.
There's a lot of matches with him down here too. Yeah.
Oh man, what a good guy.
Well, it was Tampa, Orlando, Miami, and then we went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Not Puerto Rico. I'm sorry, Bahamas.
Bahamas. Yeah. Bahamas Stadium. Chicken wire covering the outside. Broken glass, no ceiling, just chicken wire, so they wouldn't throw the rocks. They were selling rocks outside to throw at the wrestlers. They were hanging in the trees. I worked in that building one time, and they had a fence go around the whole top, but there was broken glass on the top of the wall. Okay, and I watched. There was probably 50 people hanging onto a chain link fence, and the fence decided to break, and it was like dominoes. All falling off about a 12-foot wall down onto the outside of the building. Oh, my God. Trying to get a free show. That's
I have to blame your show.
Great war stories here. Great.
Oh, my God.
Now, how was it different from the territory days to the nowadays of wrestling? When Vince took over everything with WWF, how was it like the difference between the territory days? Did you like those days a lot better? Like, was there a lot more involvement?
I'll let you answer first, man.
Well, it was awesome. You know, the main difference is instead of flying in airplanes, you were driving. When I was in Texas, we were driving 3,000 to 5,000 miles a week. Okay, we were based out of San Antonio, Texas. You know, and like I said, you know, my career was planes, trains, automobiles, and sometimes even a boat. When we'd go up to Nova Scotia and that in Canada, you'd have to go on a boat, a ferry, to get across from Moncton over to the island out there, Newfoundland. And you know, but I mean that's it's very all similar, but just a smaller venues. But some of those, you know, working those smaller territories, they had big shows too. Also, you know, not as compared to you know, maybe WWE or WWF, but even WWF, we did the spot shows too. We've done schools. We've done what was that place up in Pennsylvania? The Angelo Mosque or something like that. I think something Java Mosque or something was a building up there because I know Iron Mike Sharp one time got locked in the building because he was always late going to the town. He'd train, oil up, wrestle, and he'd be the last one to leave out of the town, out of the building. You remember that? Iron Mike Sharp. Wait a minute. Oh my God. I loved him. He was awesome.
A lot of great characters. A lot of great characters. No doubt. Do you remember when you were down in Texas, an old timer by the name of Mike Padusis?
What is it? Mike what?
Padusis.
It sounds familiar.
he was good friends with Bronco Lupich and Mike.
Bronco.
And Bulldog
That's in Dallas.
Pletich. Yeah. Well, Producers was actually from Steubenville, my hometown area.
Oh, wow.
And he was a good friend, but he was living down in Dallas, and I talked him into breaking me into the business. And he says, "No, kid, I ain't gonna do it. He says, I don't want you in the business, blah blah blah." And I talked him into it. He took me down there for a week, taught me how to tie up, taught me a headlock. Him and Bulldog Pletich was the other guy's name. He was a Serbian guy, and I was Serbian, and Mike was Greek. Then they called Gorilla Monsoon. I flew home, and I always used wrestling as my side income when I was a cop. Same thing when I went to Atlanta to be a cop. And I flew home, and they booked me in Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and all I knew was a tie-up and a headlock, and I wrestled Billy Red Lyons, my first match.
Oh, my God, Billy Red Lyons.
In the Pittsburgh Civic Arena. I'll never forget walking out in front of 12,000 people in Pittsburgh saying, "What did I do?"
Oh, my God. But with that many people, it makes it so much. The more people, the louder it is, the more easier it is to me.
Yeah.
But I remember Malenko preaching to us. Let me tell you something, kids. All right? You work, you wrestle as hard as you can, no matter if there's one person or there's a million people out in the audience.
Yes, sir.
You give it your best.
Whether there's 2 or 200,000.
That's it. Yeah. That it's important. I mean, those fans bought a ticket to watch you, and don't let them down.
Now, how's the independent shows down there in Florida?
Huh?
How's the independent shows down there in Florida? Are they
got a ton of them,
territories?
Man.
Yeah, I was going to say the territories. I see a lot of independent shows starting to blossom up in this area, and I think I think that's good for the business, Fred. But by the same token, and this is one of the few times I'm going to be critical. I see guys in the business that would have never even got close to the ring in the era we come through.
I agree 150% with you. I mean, there's guys out there training guys that ain't got a clue. They don't know a wristwatch from a wristwatch. You know what I'm saying? And I seen guys out there, and there's guys that they wouldn't even know what a gym was. Maybe Jim's Bar and Grill, but they ain't never been in a gym. On top of that, and I see them doing stuff, and there's so many. And everybody wants to emulate what they see on TV instead of, listening. And, I had that when we had the school open here for a while. And there's a lot of schools popping up, left, right, and everything. Gangrel in South Florida just opened up a place down there, but we have several schools in Orlando. Of course, Sika has his place over in just outside of Orlando and Mineola. They run TVs and stuff there. They got Alpha's up in the Panhandle, but down here there's two schools just opened up in Pinellas County, which is one in Port Richey and one down here in Largo by Clearwater. And
I know where Largo is.
And several guys that run here, and they run different shows and that. There's a women's show that they run down there. There's one up north. I met a young lady this weekend in Allentown that is works for Shimmer, which is a ladies' wrestling organization, and they have ties to the people that there's a company over there, I think in Baltimore or something like that, and they're like a feeder. They've sent several guys to WWE that are working there with NXT or whatever. But they also have this company down here that's a ladies' deal. They do shows there in Ybor City at a bar, and it's all women.
Doesn't he have their training center down in Florida?
It's over in Orlando, NXT. Yeah, that's their deal there. Okay. Yeah, and they have their own shows on the network, and then they do some tours out and about. I think they got some shows coming up on the West Coast of the United States, I believe, before the end of the year.
Good for them. Good stuff.
Like California and that stuff. But, really the independents are good, bad, or ugly. They are the territories. I feel a lot. There's a lot of great production and a lot of good places, out there that are training and stuff. A friend of mine, Rudy Gonzalez, out in Texas, he's training some stuff. A lot of guys that are working with AAA and working with in Mexico, and he's worked with Lucha Underground over there also. He was in my first territory. Great trainer, good guy. That's another show that's outstanding. Lucha Underground. Have you seen that one, Nick?
I have not.
It's on the El Rey Network, and I think that it's available on the Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. Hulu or one of those other. I think
it's available on
Hulu. And but it's actually done. It's filmed in L.A. Robert Rodriguez, the horror director, that's his network. And, I mean, it's kind of a cool network in many, many ways. But that wrestling show is done like a series. So they go season 1, season 2, season 3. You know what I'm saying? And they work. I mean, they have women, men. I actually watched a match on there that was, the show's an hour long. And then what happens is after the show ends, the next hour they play it from the beginning again. So if you missed part of the first one or you wanted to watch it again, you can watch it simultaneously.
I got you.
You can pull it up on YouTube and watch some of the past seasons and stuff like that that's out there. And
I'll make sure.
The building that it's in is called the Temple. Okay, Vampiro is one of the announcers, and then the other guy was with WWE. I forget his name now. But Vampiro, when they're wrestling, they got women, they got men. They do mixed tags, they do mixed singles, and the women are just as strong and good as the guys that are there. Okay, and it's like ECW on the gas. Is the best analogy I can give is production-wise. And you have the shady, underhanded owner of the company. The building is called the Temple, and the Temple is in like a industrial, bad part of L.A. And that's where it's filmed at. And the back storylines are very, there's some really dark kind of storylines to the deal. But and they work from multiple levels in there. There's, probably three stories of different places where they come off doing wild moves and stuff like that and everything. Occasionally a little blood, that kind of a situation. So it's definitely a different alternative to what's on, other than TNA, which is not doing very, very well right now, and I don't know how well it's going to do in the future. And then the other one is Ring of Honor, which is syndicated, so you don't really know when it's going to be on. Does that make any sense? Have you seen any of that? I mean, it's maybe at 2 in the morning or 3. I'll go to a town or something like that to do a signing, and be in the hotel room. It's get back maybe around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's I flip it through the channels before I go to bed, and it's on. I'm like, holy shit,
Mm-hmm. I've seen a few New Japan matches that way.
I dropped you there.
I said I've seen a few matches from New Japan that way. Like you just channel surfing in the wee hours of the morning. It's like, oh, there's a wrestling match.
Yeah, well, in Japan, they don't have TV like over here. I don't know if it's still that way, but you never knew. Even New Japan and All Japan, you never knew when the show was going to be on, and they're not very long, half hour or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
If you caught one, if you caught it, it's just TV's weird there anyway.
You see me, I'm more of a old school. I have my own old school library, and I watch a lot of the old school wrestling.
Well,
that's my satisfaction in the wrestling world.
I tell young guys with that we're in the computer age, man. You got YouTube, and even a lot of the independents have YouTube channels. So you can see different independent wrestling organizations on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the good thing.
What's really cool is they can watch old stuff and learn psychology, and they can learn wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Other than being an acrobat, because you got to have a variety. You got to have something to bring to the table. I believe it's important if you have a little amateur experience, I think it's a really, really good thing to have as a pro wrestler. After all, you are a wrestler.
Yeah.
See, it was Bully that actually inspired when I got into wrestling with Jimmy Valiant and Zbyszko. It was Bully that inspired me to become the character I was, with the bowler hat and the cigars and talking all that rough talking that. So I owe a lot of that to Bully through my management days. I was being a wrestling manager.
Well, that character was a lot of fun. I picked up the nickname even locally. I got involved with the MMA back when UFC was first starting with Mark Coleman and Brandon Hinkle, and those guys just automatically started calling me Bully, and it just caught on. I mean, all the boys always called me that, but it just caught on in the street. I used to laugh at Coleman because they were using him over there, and what he thought was the business. I says, Coleman, you got to quit dropping guys on their heads. You got to stop that shit. He said, well, it's a work. I said, that ain't a work, Coleman.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. That wasn't
a lot of character.
Yeah.
But no, it was, like I say, it was great having both of you on the show tonight, and especially hearing a lot of the old school stories and the territories and all the stuff you guys went through on the road. Bully, do you have a quick road story for us?
What's a quick old story for you? I could tell a million Iron Sheik stories. That's my old buddy there.
Excellent. You know, Daddy.
That's the one over there. He don't have on Sheik medication. You know what I mean? Cool.
Break your back. I make you humble.
No, and I know you're crazy on this. There's a guy who could have been top shelf coach, all around athlete. He was just he's an amazing individual, really knowledgeable. There's no doubt about it. And you know what? I give credit to all those guys. They're all talented people, and whether it be Ric Flair, my man Fred there, everybody fed off everybody, and it's just a great business. I don't know that I could tell any stories. I've got a zillion of them, but I can tell you this much: I love the boys, and I love the business, and I can't really sit here and say that I had a bad run-in with anybody in the business as far as having an actual run-in. I really can't say that I did.
Yeah. I feel blessed to have been a part of such a great business, and still have ties to it. And, every time I see some of the boys, I mean, it's just the greatest. And you sit down and the stories start coming out, and, it's kind of, it's a neat, it was, like I said, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, it was a good business. a lot of days on the road and a lot of sacrifices sometimes in many ways, you know, but I feel honored to have worked with the guys, you know, and been a part of something like that, you know, and it's a great honor, you know.
Amen.
It is a really great honor, you know. You're kind of speechless because you can't explain the feeling, you know. You have good days, you have bad days, but it's when I'm in the old folks' home and I'm drooling, you know, at least I'll have them cartoons going on inside my head from the business. A lot of it's the kind of business you can sit back in the locker room and there's always something going on. Am I right, brother?
Yeah,
always something to laugh at, you know.
Absolutely,
the ribs,
for sure.
You know, yeah, exactly.
If my health holds up,
yeah.
I'm going to go out for the first time to the Cauliflower Alley Club. Are you going to try to make it out there, Fred?
I don't know if I'll be able to go this year or not. I would like to go with my wife out there. My buddy Bob Cook, he tries to go every year, and
I see him on Facebook all the time. So
my God,
we talked to him, mentioned to him that I hope to see him out there. I think I ran into Bob first time in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. But
he is the ultimate Terry Funk fan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I joke with him all the time about it. I love him to death. He's a good guy. He probably one of the best punches in the business. He's worked with Flair. He's worked with them all back in the day.
Yep.
You know, and a Malenko guy, and just a good all-around guy. You know, very smart, very sarcastic 3/4 of the time. If you've read his posts,
he tickles me.
He loves to put people in their place. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he tickles the shit out of me.
You know,
if I have fun on Facebook, it's either reading Bob Cook's post or I aggravate some Trump hater. I always say something to get cheap heat with them, or with one of the fitness girls or the power lifters, and the power lifters are all a bunch of marks. I gotta laugh at them. I aggravate the hell out of them.
Oh.
They don't even know I'm working them.
Oh my God, they wouldn't have a clue. All the times I spent powerlifting back in the day, man, and and that's how that is. You did, and it's a close knit group of guys. It's family. It ain't no different in the wrestling business. When you get in with a good bunch of guys that train together.
That's true.
And I miss that. But
it was great just hearing you guys and talking about all these days and that. I mean, it's just I can go on and listen to you guys for hours.
I appreciate you having me, Fred. It was great talking to you again.
Oh, it's good.
I
hope so. I miss you, brother.
Tell all the boys down there I send my regards.
All right,
you both have been a great inspiration and to many fans, and you did so much great things in the professional wrestling business, and we all appreciate you and everything you've done. And
you guys
Bully,
need your own podcast.
And Bully, you've been an inspiration to me through life in general with the ordeals that you went through and fought through and the ordeals I'm going through. And I follow your posts, and I look up to you, and you inspire me every day to keep fighting and keep going strong.
Well, yeah, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm not going to push any religious beliefs on you, but I'll tell you this much: faith has a lot to do with it, and you keep moving forward. And look, I wasn't supposed to make it, so you can make it. I tell you, and I'm going to tell you another thing. If God wanted to take me, then so be it. I mean, you just do that. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Like I say, I appreciate both of you, and thank you for coming on the show today. It really meant a lot.
Well, you're both. All right, guys. All right, brother. Love you, man.
Wish all you guys the best. God bless. I'll be talking to you.
Right.
God bless.
You too, and you have a great evening, both of you.
Happy
You too,
Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy
All right,
Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Bill. You too. All right. Bye.
Good night, Fred. But that was a great show, and I could have sat there listening to them 2 for hours, going on about those great days in professional wrestling.
Oh wow!
Great story.
But so how did you guys like tonight's show?
Oh, beautiful, man. I mean, you know, it's one thing to see these guys on TV, but to get to know them, you know, this way, just to sit back and listen to them talk about their experiences and their life philosophies about training and all. It's really, really something.
Yeah, the behind the character, the real person, which is really cool to get to know the real people.
And of course, those real people tend to be characters themselves.
that they do.
But like I say, with Nick Busick, Big Bully Busick, he's been a great role model to me, and I look up to him so much because he inspired me because his ordeal with fighting with cancer and such. So
yeah, I saw a news piece on YouTube that they have about him, and that was really something too.
And Tugboat, I mean, the knowledge he has in the sport, and he went up and he fought alongside of many of the great wrestlers there are today, like Earthquake and Hogan and Sting and Dusty Rhodes being his brother-in-law and working with him, and Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes being his nephews, and Jerry Sags being his nephew. And I mean, he has so much knowledge in the sport, and he can bring so much. If you want to sit there and learn about the sport, he can bring it all to you. And these two guys, they came in the business back when the territories were still up and running, and the travel was there, and the promotions were there, and like you had your Texas territory, you had the Mid-Atlantic, and you had your Crockett's, and I mean, they can tell you all these great stories, and like they talk about Bruiser Brody and all those wrestlers. I mean, Abdullah Butcher. I mean, those were good stand-up wrestlers. Dick Slater. So it was a great show tonight, and like I said, we have to do more shows like this where we could bring the guests on together and just let them converse and tell their story and talk.
I think it helps kind of warm up when they've got somebody to bounce other stories off of. Hey, you remember when? And it works.
Yep, it works. And like always, it is always a pleasure being on the show with both of you, Lucian and Michelle. And we have another guest that'll be joining us next week. And we actually have 2 guests. We will have Mike Davidson, who is from Canada. He is a wrestling promoter, and he'll be talking about his wrestling show coming up, the Wrestling Supercard. But another guest we're going to be having coming on the air would be the one and only Paul Ehlers, who is Madman Maz from the 80s slasher film Madman. And I'm looking forward to that show as well. We have guests that will be coming on. It will be Rob DeLeo from Rue Morgue. He'll be joining us. We have Terry McGuinn from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Peter Ouden, who is known by NC-17. They'll be joining us on November 29th. And we're going to be having Jack Schroeder, who is the writer and director of movies like Alone in the Dark from the 1980s, to The Hidden, Wishmaster 2, and several other films. And I'm interested in hearing the stories about Alone in the Dark because you had so many legends in that film. You had Donald Pleasance. You had just so many great legends. Jack Palance was in that film. I mean, and I'm looking forward to that show as well. So, and all your listeners, when you listen to the entire show in the archives. When you listen to this, don't forget to tune in to this Monday for Reach with me and Michelle Yeager doing hosting of this inspirational show we did. And I'm surprised of our ratings we got on the last show, the first show, and they seem to keep on growing.
Yeah.
Yep. So hopefully this week we'll have some call-ins
for that show.
Yes, we do. Hopefully we get some call-ins that show, and I'm looking forward to it. But as always, I thank you too, and Brennan Levesque, who couldn't join us this week, will be joining us next week for K&S Society TALK Live. So until next week, I thank you all for tuning in, and you all have a pleasant evening and a good week.
You too. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Completely out of my mind. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men with their clean white coats. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men with their clean white coats. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha. Thought it was a joke, and so you laughed when I had said that losing you would make me flip my writ. Right? You know you laughed, I heard you laughed and laughed, and then you left, but now you know I'm utterly mad. And they're coming to take me away, haha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, haha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men with their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away, haha.